There are houses across the world that have long been forgotten. Their walls crumble. Their roofs cave. Their paint peels like sunburnt flesh. And yet, they still whisper. Tonight, we're taking you into one of America's most chilling and undocumented haunted house horror stories. Tucked away in a forgotten patch of land in rural Pennsylvania, surrounded by fog-choked woods and a silence so thick it weighs down your chest, lies a house with no name. Locals call it the house that remembers. But those who've dared to enter often forget how to speak of what they saw. It doesn't appear on any modern map. Google satellite images blur it out like a digital scar. The property is fenced off, not by humans, some say, but by something far older. There are no records of ownership since 1974. No electricity. No running water. And yet, windows glow at night. Those who grew up near this place tell stories in hushed tones, of windows watching them back, of children vanishing into the woods and never coming home. No one moves near the house anymore. Even the birds won't perch on its blackened rooftop. But this is no ordinary ghost story. This is a living myth, stitched together by decades of fear, silence, and strange disappearances. In this video, we'll unravel the hidden truths and buried history behind this cursed place. We'll start by digging into the terrifying history of this house, and the family that once lived here. Then, we'll reveal strange events and local legends that have spread through generations like wildfire, each tale more disturbing than the last. Next, we'll follow the footsteps of explorers and thrill seekers who dared to document the horror inside, and never returned the same. We'll then guide you through similar haunted houses across the US that echo the same eerie silence and unspeakable dread. Finally, we'll try to answer the question that's haunted this place for half a century: why does this house still breathe when everyone who lived in it is long dead? This isn't fiction. This is a story told in whispers, dreams, and scars. What you're about to hear comes from eyewitness reports, abandoned journals, newspaper clippings, and video footage too disturbing to show in full. We warn you, what lies within these walls has a way of staying with you. Many who've watched, read, or heard about the house that remembers claim to feel it watching them, even now. If you're still here, if you choose to continue, do so knowing something might follow. This story is not meant for the faint-hearted. It's meant for those who dare to look into the abyss, and know the abyss might be looking back. Turn off your lights. Put on your headphones. And remember, some houses don't just hold memories. They feed on them. Let's begin. The house itself is buried deep in a patch of overgrown woods, 23 miles outside the rural town of Whistler's Grove, Pennsylvania. The town was founded in 1861, a quiet coal mining community with less than 1,000 residents. It's a town few outsiders visit, not because of crime or poverty, but because of stories. Unwelcome ones. At the edge of that town, surrounded by thick sycamore trees and a long-abandoned railway track, stands the structure in question. The house that remembers, a rotting Victorian manor built in 1887 by a man named Horace Grayson. Candle the builder and his secrets. Horace wasn't a wealthy man by nature. In fact, his early life was riddled with tragedy. His wife died during childbirth. His brother was killed in a mining accident. And yet, somehow, Horace acquired a large plot of land and built the mansion in less than a year, faster than any known build of that scale at the time. There are no blueprints. No permits. The town records only list a single notation in 1886, property transfer granted. No contest. Grayson estate approved. End of file. Locals said Horace was often seen speaking to the trees, or sitting alone in the middle of his future home's foundation, chanting in a language no one recognized. One story claimed he never hired any workers, the house simply appeared over time, as if built by unseen hands. The finished home had 7 bedrooms, 3 attics, 2 cellars, and a tower with no staircase. No one could ever explain why. Horace lived in the house alone for nearly 2 decades. Candle, the family that vanished. In 1905, Horace remarried a widow named Margaret Edison, who moved into the home with her 2 daughters, Clara, 9, and Elise, 6. What followed remains one of the town's most disturbing unsolved mysteries. Neighbors reported hearing strange sounds from the property, screams, static, and music boxes playing at 3 a.m. Multiple letters were sent to the local police about concerns of ritualistic behavior. But by the time a constable arrived to check on the Graysons in 1907, the house was empty. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Dinner plates still on the table. Bed still warm. A teacup shattered on the floor, and blood smeared across the cellar door. The family had simply vanished. Candle, the Grayson Diary. Years later, a group of high schoolers trespassing on the property in 1953 stumbled upon a leather-bound diary, allegedly belonging to Horace himself. The writing was chaotic, half in English, half in Latin, with passages that suggested he believed the house was alive. One entry read, "It knocks when it's hungry. It whispers when it's full. The walls know my name." Another, "Margaret has seen it now. She tried to leave. It won't let her. It needs blood. It needs a family." The diary vanished shortly after the police were called. Some say it was stolen. Others say it was taken back by the house. A pattern of disappearances. Over the next 50 years, the house stood unoccupied, yet it continued to claim victims. In 1932, 2 brothers from Scranton went missing on a hunting trip near Whistler's Grove. Their camp was found intact. Their trail led straight to the manor. No further evidence was ever found, except a single boot lodged in the chimney. In 1967, a traveling preacher was seen heading toward the house after claiming in town that it was a gateway for the devil's choir. He was never seen again. The town stopped filing missing persons reports related to the house in 1974, claiming no legal jurisdiction over a property that doesn't officially exist. Attempts to destroy it. In 1981, the county made one final effort. A fire team was sent to demolish the house after local pressure mounted again following the disappearance of a young boy whose ball was found on the front porch. 3 men from the demolition team reportedly quit on the spot upon seeing the interior of the house shift. The lead firefighter, Dale Prescott, gave an official report stating, "The floor inside moved like waves. The stairs weren't where they were a minute before. We heard breathing. Not wind, breathing." When they attempted to ignite the structure, the house refused to burn. The flames licked the wood but left no marks. After 6 hours, the team abandoned the project, and Dale retired within the year, refusing to speak of it again. The property has remained untouched ever since. Theories and forbidden rituals. Several paranormal historians have studied the Grayson house and its surrounding folklore. One such expert, Dr. Lillian Ashcroft, dedicated a chapter to the house in her banned 1998 book, Structures That Speak. She argued that the manor was not built on cursed ground, but that the house itself became cursed by design. She referenced ancient architectural rituals that suggested if a house is built with intent to contain pain, it eventually becomes a vessel for it. If a soul binds itself willingly to the foundation, either through tragedy or ritual, the house becomes a living tomb, one that hungers. Another theory claims Horace Grayson was part of a now-extinct cult known as the Empty Choir, a secret society that believed in binding voices to wood and stone to achieve immortality. That would explain the windows that whisper, the halls that echo with forgotten songs, and the fact that despite being long abandoned, people still see someone standing in the attic window every single night. Longer than it should be. Some say time bends around it, others say the house moves. One boy described it best: you don't find the house, it finds you. Part 2: Strange Events and Urban Legends. If the history of the Grayson house is unsettling, the stories told about what's happened since are downright terrifying. These aren't tales created by horror novelists or campfire storytellers. These are accounts whispered among truck drivers, passed down by generations of families in Whistler's Grove, and even submitted to obscure paranormal forums by those who claim to have encountered the house's presence, without ever stepping inside. What makes the Grayson house so disturbing is not just the lack of closure around the disappearances, but the consistency of the stories that come from wildly different people, across different decades. The Whispering Windows. One of the oldest legends says that if you stand outside the house after midnight, you'll hear your name whispered from one of the top floor windows. At first, it sounds like wind or an owl's cry. But if you listen long enough, it begins to form syllables. Some say it whispers a name you haven't heard in years, like a childhood nickname or the name of a dead relative. Others report hearing a voice identical to their own, whispering from the glass. A man named Terrence Whitmore, who visited the area in 1988, described this in a now-deleted blog post. "I thought I was losing my mind. I stood behind the trees, maybe 40 yards away, and I could swear I heard my grandmother's voice saying my name. She died when I was 10. Then I heard my own voice saying, 'Come inside.' But I hadn't spoken." He never approached the house. But the voice followed him home, at least, that's what he claimed. Terrence reportedly suffered a nervous breakdown 2 months later. When paramedics found him, he'd carved the words, "It sees me," into the walls of his apartment. The forest doesn't let go. Those who attempt to reach the house describe the woods surrounding it as unnatural. Multiple trespassers, both teens and paranormal YouTubers, have reported looping paths, time loss, and even walking in circles for hours only to realize they never moved more than 100 feet. One anonymous Redditor recounted, "I went with 2 buddies. We had a map, GPS, and we marked trees with chalk. But somehow we ended up right back at the same fallen log again and again. We only escaped because we turned back after one of us threw up blood." He never even realized he was sick. The forest seems to protect the house, or trap those who seek it. And some believe it's not just trees surrounding the property, but something watching from behind them. Witnesses speak of shapes in the fog, shadows with no source, eyes that blink once and vanish. The children in the attic. Perhaps the most disturbing and consistent tale involves what locals call the children in the attic. Almost every story from explorers includes a sighting or sound of small, pale hands behind the upper windows. Some claim to see outlines of children's faces, watching from the dark. They don't move. They don't wave. They just stare. One urban explorer, who goes by the username Grimsight, uploaded a series of night vision photos taken from a mile outside the house using a telephoto lens. The final image in the sequence shows a faint, glowing shape in the attic window, roughly the size and height of a child. Within 24 hours of posting the photo, his entire account was deleted. When reached out to, he refused to speak about the house again. Some believe these children are the spirits of Clara and Elise, the girls who disappeared in 1907. Others think they are not children at all. In fact, one chilling folk legend says, the children are its eyes. The more it takes, the more it sees. The static radio. In the early 2000s, a group of amateur ghost hunters reportedly set up an old AM radio near the edge of the woods, tuned to white noise, hoping to capture EVPs. What they got was something far more disturbing. As the tape rolled, the static began to form a melody, something resembling a child's lullaby. Then, for a brief few seconds, a voice whispered, "I don't want to be in the walls anymore." The group dismissed it as pareidolia, until they returned weeks later and found the same voice whispering the exact same words, but this time, it said their names after the message. They abandoned the experiment and destroyed the tape. One member reportedly moved states. Another claimed to start sleepwalking toward forests in the middle of the night, mumbling to himself in a girl's voice. The man with no face. Another local legend, more recent, involves a figure known only as the man with no face. Multiple witnesses who've strayed too close to the house have reported seeing a tall man in black standing on the roof or in the yard. His face appears completely smooth. No eyes. No mouth. Just skin stretched tight where features should be. One 12-year-old boy, who got separated from his cousins while playing in the woods, described seeing this figure watching him from the second floor. When asked what he felt, the boy replied, "It wasn't like he was angry. It was like he was waiting." Others claim he appears only after dark, and if you stare too long, he gets closer. Urban folklore states that this man is either Horace Grayson's spirit or a manifestation of the house's hunger, the way it lures in those it chooses to claim. No one who's reported seeing the man with no face has ever dared to return to the woods again. Part 3: Explorers who dared to enter. Few have reached the Grayson house. Even fewer have crossed its rotting threshold. And of those who dared to step inside, none have left unchanged. These are not thrill-seeking teens telling spooky stories. These are seasoned explorers, urban investigators, paranormal researchers, even law enforcement officers, all reporting inexplicable changes in their behavior, health, or memories after entering. Their accounts are deeply disturbing and hauntingly consistent. The Holotapes, a documentarian's descent. In 2011, a documentarian known online as Milo Cade posted a 3-part miniseries titled The Holotapes. He claimed to have located and entered the Grayson house during the fall of that year, armed with a handheld camera, an EMF meter, and a friend named Liza. The first tape is mostly uneventful: fog-drenched woods, creaking leaves, Milo narrating as they reach the broken fence surrounding the house. But once inside, things shift dramatically. Footage analysis reveals, the walls appear warped, as if they bend inward slightly. Doors creak open without wind. Liza complains of a pressure on my chest, like the air is watching me. At one point, the camera catches what appears to be a reflection of a third person walking behind them, but no one else was present. In the final moments of tape 3, Milo whispers, "She's gone. The room took her. I can hear her through the walls." The screen goes black. No more uploads ever followed. Months later, viewers began to notice bizarre phenomena: lights flickering while watching the videos, voices in the audio that weren't in the original footage, comments being deleted seconds after posting. The original YouTube channel was deleted in 2013. No one has heard from Milo or Liza since. Deputy Vaughn's report, "It shouldn't be there." In 1996, Deputy Arlen Vaughn, a patrol officer with the Allegheny County Sheriff's Office, responded to an anonymous tip about a girl screaming inside the Grayson property. His official report, later leaked by a former officer, reads like fiction: approached house. Doors closed. Broken glass everywhere. No footprints in snow leading in. Heard child's voice say, "Please help me." Entered with caution. Vaughn's body cam footage is missing. But he wrote that upon entering the front hallway, the house was not abandoned. It was clean, furnished. Lights were on, though no power lines were visible. Portraits on the wall showed families I've never seen. They smiled when I looked too long. He left the house 45 minutes later, disoriented and pale. But according to GPS records, he had been inside for over 6 hours. Vaughn retired early after the event and refused all interviews. Before he left, he told a friend, "There's something inside that house that remembers you. And it doesn't like to be forgotten." The lost live streamer. In 2020, during the height of pandemic-era content creation, a thrill-seeking Twitch streamer known as Riven Phantom attempted to live-stream a solo overnight investigation of the Grayson house. He had amassed thousands of viewers as he narrated his journey into the woods, flashlight shaking, GoPro strapped to his chest. For 2 hours, he wandered aimlessly, just forest, fog, occasional EMF spikes. Then, silence. At 2:12 a.m., viewers watched as the screen froze on a single frame, the Grayson house's attic window, just faintly visible in the distance. From the speakers came a sharp, high-pitched sound, then, very clearly, a child's voice whispered, "He's here." The feed went black. For days, the streamer was declared missing. Search parties were dispatched. But 3 days later, he walked into a nearby diner, barefoot, incoherent, mumbling about a door inside a door inside a door. His footage was never recovered. He has since deleted all social media and lives under a new identity in Maine, reportedly suffering from frequent blackouts and unexplainable bruises shaped like handprints. The room that wasn't there. One of the most credible accounts comes from Amira Calloway, a professor of architecture at a New England university. In 2015, she joined a preservationist team to catalog abandoned buildings in western Pennsylvania. Her team's mission was clear: map out internal structures for possible historical preservation. But when they entered the Grayson house, Amira's precise mapping equipment began to fail. According to her field notes, internal measurements don't match external dimensions. Inside is larger than outside footprint. Hallways fold into one another, fractal-like. Discovered a spiral stairwell on the second floor leading to a third floor that does not exist from the outside. On the third floor, they found a sealed red door, covered in carvings. Amira describes the symbols as neither architectural nor decorative. More like warnings. They opened it. Inside was a perfect replica of Amira's childhood bedroom. Same colors. Same broken lamp. Same closet door with the crack in it. But she had grown up in Connecticut. She had never set foot in Pennsylvania until that day. One team member began to scream hysterically and had to be restrained. Another refused to enter, saying he saw a figure watching them from inside the mirror. When they left, the stairwell was gone. There was no third floor. Amira refuses to discuss what else she saw that day, but left her university post within months, claiming she was haunted by a house that should not know who I am.
Survivors who changed. A disturbing pattern has emerged among those who survive the Grayson house. They change. Some become paranoid, checking over their shoulders, sleeping with the lights on, refusing to discuss the experience. Others become obsessed, drawing the house, sketching its floor plan repeatedly, even trying to return. A few fall completely silent. Friends and family say it's like something is missing inside them. The phenomenon is so widely reported that local psychologists once labeled it architectural identity displacement, a term used to describe people whose minds begin to mirror the spaces they entered. But some believe the truth is darker, that those who enter the house leave something behind. And sometimes, what returns to the world isn't entirely them anymore. They tried to burn it. In 1972, a group of locals attempted to burn the house down. According to a police report, 6 men, all former military, soaked the base in gasoline and lit multiple ignition points. What happened next is, well, recorded. The fire ignited. Flames rose high. Smoke began to fill the trees. Then, the fire reversed direction. Witnesses say it was as if the flames were sucked into the foundation, turning ice blue, then vanishing entirely. The house stood unburned. The men, they began to suffer intense hallucinations, seeing flames in their mirrors, hearing fire crackling in their ears at night. One even developed full-body burns despite never being touched by flame. The state never launched a full investigation. But locals say since that day, the house has never allowed fire near it again. They say the Grayson house cannot be destroyed. It cannot be mapped. And it cannot be forgotten. Those who enter either vanish, or carry it with them. In their dreams. In their reflections. In the quiet creak of floorboards when no one is home. Part 4, Explorers Who Dared to Enter. While most steer clear of haunted homes and abandoned dwellings, some are pulled in, by curiosity, thrill-seeking, or obsession. These modern-day explorers, ghost hunters, and urban adventurers willingly step into darkness armed with only cameras, flashlights, and bravado. Some capture chilling footage. Some never talk about what they saw again. And a few vanish completely. Below are 4 true encounters with haunted houses across America, stories that echo what happened at the Grayson house, and prove that curiosity comes with a price. 1. The YouTubers who fled the Screaming Room, the Belmont House, West Virginia. In the summer of 2019, a small YouTube team known as Nightscope Paranormal visited the Belmont House, a decaying Victorian structure off a country road in West Virginia, rumored to have been a temporary Civil War infirmary turned private residence. Their video, titled, "We Heard Her Screaming, Real Ghost Footage," went viral for all the wrong reasons. The footage begins as expected, creaky staircases, flickering lights, whispers caught on EVP. But 46 minutes in, something shifts. The camera turns to a long hallway where a door slams shut, violently, on its own. Then a high-pitched scream pierces through the audio. It's not from the team. They flee, visibly shaken, stumbling through debris. One of them vomits on camera. They later revealed that after leaving, all 3 had matching burns appear on their left wrists, in the shape of what looked like fingernail marks. None of them returned to paranormal investigations again. Their final YouTube comment, "We brought something back with us. Don't go there." 2. The photographer who went missing in the Indiana murder house. Amateur photographer Liam Grant had a passion for urbex, urban exploration. He specialized in long-exposure night shots of decaying structures. In October 2017, he posted on Instagram, "Found the perfect shoot location. Abandoned house near Attica, Indiana. Locals say it was the site of an unsolved family murder in 1946. Going in tomorrow." He was never heard from again. Authorities found his car parked at the edge of the woods, with his tripod and extra batteries locked inside. Inside the house, they discovered his DSLR, smashed on the floor, and a torn flannel shirt believed to be his. The only image recovered from the corrupted SD card showed a figure standing in the corner of a room, head tilted, blurred by motion. No one was supposed to be there. Liam's body was never found. The house has since been demolished, but the police won't release the full report. Online communities call it the house that took him. 3. Paranormal podcaster experiences real possession, Boston, Massachusetts. Kara Dorsey ran the popular podcast Echoes Beyond, where she investigated haunted locations and interviewed witnesses. In 2021, she recorded a Halloween special inside a decrepit colonial house on the outskirts of Boston, one tied to the Salem witch trials, rumored to have been used for hidden rituals. Listeners recall her voice changing midway through the episode. At first, it's subtle, slower speech, strange pauses. But then she whispers something in a language no one could identify, followed by a long, unnatural laugh. The final 10 minutes are filled with silence, except for the sound of scratching, as if something were carving into the wooden walls. When found by friends the next day, Kara had collapsed. Her nails were torn, her hands bloodied. She claimed no memory of the final hour. To this day, she refuses to speak about the incident. She deleted her podcast, sold her equipment, and now lives offline. 4. The live stream that ended in screams, North Carolina, 2022. A Twitch streamer known as Hex Hunter, real name Alex Tran, entered an old plantation home in rural North Carolina for a Halloween special titled Facing the Darkness. He advertised it as a no interruptions, 6-hour solo stream. More than 12,000 viewers tuned in. Everything went smoothly for the first hour, quiet hallways, dusty rooms, paranormal gadgets on screen. But around the 73-minute mark, viewers reported hearing a man whispering behind Alex, though he was alone. He began sweating, even though the house was freezing. Then he muttered, "It's behind me, but there's no mirror." The final frame shows him turning toward the attic stairs. He gasps. Drops the camera. The stream continued, sideways, static-filled, for 45 minutes before it cut out. When police arrived later that night, Alex was gone. All they found was his flashlight, still on, pointed at the words etched into the attic floor, "I was never alone." Psychological toll of haunted encounters. Experts in parapsychology and trauma have studied these explorers and found something disturbing in common. Many show signs of dissociation, recurring nightmares, and auditory hallucinations after their visits. Some refuse to speak about their experiences. Some isolate completely. Haunted houses do more than scare people. They leave imprints, mental fingerprints that press down long after the door is shut. And sometimes, the house follows you home.
Final warning. As we reach the end of this journey into haunted houses of America, it's clear that these places are more than just old walls and forgotten stories. They are vessels of pain, sorrow, and sometimes pure evil, trapped in time, waiting. You might think it's just folklore, or that the restless spirits only want to be heard. But for those who have dared to step inside, the consequences can be terrifying and irreversible. Haunted houses are often depicted as places where ghosts reside. But some survivors say the real terror is how the experience changes you. Restless spirits, voices, and shadows can cling to your mind, feeding nightmares, paranoia, and sometimes worse. What begins as a thrill can spiral into obsession. The house's influence can seep into your life, affecting relationships, mental health, and even physical well-being. Haunted houses are silent witnesses to the darkest corners of human experience. They remind us of fragility, mortality, and the unseen threads connecting past and present. If you encounter one, whether in stories, videos, or real life, remember this: the dead may be silent, but their stories echo. And sometimes, those echoes come back to haunt the living. Thank you for listening. Be careful where you wander. And whatever you do, don't go alone.